Hello, this is Matt Stockinger. I teach chemistry and computing at Apollo. Mr. Scholarud asked several teachers just to share what we're doing for distance learning so that other teachers during our PD this Friday and Monday might learn a few tips from their colleagues about what we're doing with Schoology. So I'm shooting this video just to give you a quick tour of my Schoology setup and the things that I've been doing to try to reach and teach as many students as I can. I'm not, in the interest of time, going to show you how I set up every little thing. I'm just going to show you what I've done. I'll make a separate video with the how-tos, and that one will probably be a little bit longer. So one thing, the biggest thing I've noticed since we started distance ed is that students, you can't assume that every student is going to use Schoology the same way. Schoology is this big multi-headed hydra, and there's a lot of different ways to use this thing. And I've really striven recently to make my Schoology courses accessible to all students no matter how they approach Schoology. Okay, so for starters, when a student goes to the front page of Schoology, the first thing they see is their feed. And this feed is populated with updates from all of their teachers, from administrators, from Katie Herbold, etc. Okay, and some students dig through this to find out what to do every day. Like I post an update every day for my courses, and some of my students will find those updates right there. So that's the first thing, is in your course, if you're going to do things the way I've been doing it, you post a new update every day. You can't do this future dated, sadly. The updates I do every morning. I wish I could do a week at a time, but you can't. Okay, so go in, post an update every day. When my students come into my course, they can look back in history if they need to see what we've done every day. Inside of that update, you can have links. I'll talk about these videos in just a minute, but I keep a link to my Google meetings so that students can meet me during office hours any time they need help. And that's how I do that. The second way that a student might look at a course is they might look at the materials, and you'll notice that when a student clicks into my course, it does not go straight to the materials. I actually changed a setting because I want my students to look at my updates every day, and I noticed pretty quickly in distance learning that a lot of my students are not reading their main page feed, especially my EL students. There's just way too much here. Furthermore, if you don't change the setting and a student goes to your course and it goes straight to the materials, if they're sitting in the materials, that update that I wrote is nowhere on the screen. The only way that a student will find it is if they click the updates, unless you go in and change that setting so that it goes straight to the updates by default, as long as Schoology servers can handle it. Alright, the materials. Alicia sent out an article a little while back about different ways to organize your Schoology course. I chose one of those methods called the Archivist. The way the Archivist works is you organize things in folders by topic, and then each time you get to a current topic, you dig that out of your archive and put it on the top. So whatever you're doing right now sits on top. The rest of this is chronological. You'll also notice that I've made all these folders gray, and I made this one pink. It's the only one with color. The reason for that, again, is that there's just so much crud to dig through. I want to make it as obvious as possible for my students who use the materials view to find what they need. When you pop into this folder, I've got the folder organized in reverse chronological order. Again, newest on top in general, and that makes it simple for them to find what they need. Last place that a student might find what they need to do is in their upcoming list or on the calendar for their course. Some students use the actual calendar view, others just use the list. When a student clicks to the home page of Schoology, they have that upcoming view for all of their courses right there. So in order to get something onto that upcoming list, you have to make a point of creating something dated in Schoology or it won't show up. So, for example, this update that I wrote for today for Practical Chem, none of this shows up in the upcoming list, okay, because you can't add like a due date to an update. what I have to do is create an item in a content folder that has a date. It typically, for me, that's either going to be an assignment, those can be dated, or it's going to be a quiz, and that's going to be dated. Now this isn't a real quiz. What I've actually done in this is I've simply given the students a video to watch, and then they got to answer a few questions to go with it. And so you don't have to create a separate bunch of materials to do that. And so I guess that leads me to my next major point. Right, point number one was get your Schoology course organized and make it so that every single student will find your materials no matter how they use Schoology. The second big point is minimize the number of different places that they have to go. So here's an assignment where I want them to watch a video and answer some questions. You can put all that into that one quiz on Schoology. In order to set that up, I had to shoot my own video. It's a lecture that I wanted them to take notes on. I piped that over to YouTube, and then when I was setting up the quiz, you have to paste the link in the text, and then you also want to embed it. Because again, you can't trust that students will behave the way you want them to. You don't know that they're going to click that link, so you should also put an embedded video. Why don't you just embed, you might ask? Why do you have to have the link as well? Well, I discovered pretty quickly students were messaging me that some of them, they load this page and they were just getting a big black box. So without this link, they had no way to access the video. So Schoology can be buggy sometimes, and you have to have the belt and suspenders approach to make sure that all the students can access your stuff. Some of you might also be wondering, well, why didn't I just upload the video directly into Schoology? Why did I put it onto YouTube? Because I tried that a couple times, and Schoology has been having problems, right? Their servers are under huge load. You saw in this video already that like 5 times it was getting too many requests. Well, when you upload a video directly to Schoology, their servers have to process that, and it puts a huge load on Schoology's servers, and they're already overloaded. So I've chosen to do all my videos that I shoot, I put them on YouTube first because Google's YouTube servers can handle it. And then it's less work for Schoology, and it's more likely to work for the students if you're using a YouTube video. Okay, speaking of videos, that brings me to probably the biggest point in my little tour here, which is you may have noticed that I've got a video or audio thing attached to everything that I do in Schoology. Every update, that assignment I just showed you had the video right there. When the students go into the questions on the assignment, I've got an audio recording of me reading the audio. When I send a student a direct message, especially if they're an EL student, I'm trying to find one here. Did I audio record this? Yes, I did. Even in direct messages, you can put audio or video. Okay, so long story short, our EL students, right, this amount of reading for you and I is nothing. But for an EL student who's really struggling in English, they're way behind grade level, that's a lot of reading. And if they have to do that dozens of times a day, they're never going to make it through the day. So do read, either on video or audio, everything that you create on Schoology. You can attach videos to go with it. Okay. In my next video, I'll show you how to do that. But my point is, everything can have a video to go with it. Now, there's a dark side to this if you have any students who need ASL interpreters, which is if you are a sign language speaker as a student, then you can't access this video because I'm not getting this interpreted. So in order to help out those students at the same time, you have to be careful that what you put in the video is just you reading exactly what's on the screen. That way the student who speaks sign language gets it from the text, and your EL students are getting the exact same thing from the video, and now you've covered both your bases. I think that's almost it. The only last piece I would mention is you can do the video thing in the other direction, and I highly recommend that. Here is, let's see, where's an assignment I did? I did one recently where I allowed the students to answer the questions with audio or video as well. So you don't just have to make audio or video of yourself. You can allow the students to answer with audio or video, and that is super helpful for some students. So for example, here's a question. This is me reading the question, the audio, and I had 1 or 2 students take advantage of this today. Here's a student who made an audio recording of his response, and then another student did a video response from his garage, and he had a lot to say. This is like a 30 to 50 second recording, and it was much easier for me to just watch the recording than for me to try to dig through everything he has to write about that. Okay, I think that's enough for this video. If you want to know more about this, watch the next how-to video or just send me an email. I hope that something that I've showed you in here is useful.